Yeah, what's up, sit-downers? Dean Gornitis here with another book review for you. This Saturday, even though it's Sunday and I missed you by a day, The Invisible Man, published in 1897 by H.G. Wells. You know, that guy who screwed with the entire nation of America when he decided to broadcast on the radio the War of the Worlds, and everybody started flipping out and thought aliens were attacking. Yeah, that guy. Wells. This is The Invisible Man, by the way, so that's not to be confused with Invisible Man, minus the, which was a 1952 novel about living in America as an African American and all the stress and trauma and troubles of that living situation. No, this is actually about an invisible man. Goes by the name of Griffin. Tries to become invisible by taking lots of different chemicals. Believes that if he changes the refractive index, some scientific term like that, of the human body to the same refractive index of air, that nobody would then be able to see him. Well, he pulls it off, but of course there's got to be a glitch, because there always has to be a glitch in a story for there to be a good story. And the glitch is he can't become visible anymore. Dun, dun, dun. You have to remember that this book was written in 1897. It was way before Barnes & Noble had a whole bookshelf dedicated to science fiction. In fact, I'm not even sure science fiction was a genre yet at that time. I believe, if my factual memory is correct, yes, my factual memory, Wells was a scientist before he started writing. He also had like 50 other books that nobody's ever heard of. He definitely pushed the way forward for science fiction as a whole. Now the question is, reading it in 2011 as a 23-year-old, does it still carry the same weight as it probably did back in the 1800s? 1800. It didn't. The wording was clunky. The sentence structure was long. It was tough to read paragraphs at times. A lot of rereading of certain sections because of the aged word usage. There's some words that nobody really uses anymore. Sentence structure is a lot more intricate today. I feel that sentence structure has simplified a lot. Whether that's good or bad is up for a whole college course of debate. You could spend a whole semester on that. The plot took a long time to develop. And you have to remember that this book isn't even a full novel. It's a novella, which, if you're not sure what a novella is basically like what you would call a book that's length is in between a short story and a full-length novel. And when you're working in a novella, you have to hit the ground running right from the beginning. And I didn't feel like Wells really hit the ground running. Hit the ground running, hit the ground running. Hit the ground running. Let me say that phrase one more time because I didn't already use it twice in one sentence. Hit the ground running. The Invisible Man does a lot of stumbling around without really developing much in terms of a story. I don't feel like things really start gripping you as a reader until about 3/4 of the way into the story, and by then I had already lost the majority of my interest. By that point, I was reading for you guys and not for myself. And when that happens, I have a really hard time recommending a book. Now this week I'm shifting gears with how I'm going to start rating the books. I'm tired of numbers. You can't call a book a 9.6 like last week. It's just, books aren't that precise. So what I've done is I'm going to categorize here. We're going to have good, we're going to have better, and we're going to have best. If you've been following my past reviews, stories like Old Man in the Sea and Catch-22 would fall in the best. Here, I'm going to take Wells's The Invisible Man and I'm going to put it in the good category, which means it deserves its place in the literary canon. It did a lot to push books forward, but reading it now, in the 21st century, it just doesn't have the same impression on me that I feel like it once did. If you're a really big science fiction fan, then I think you'd be really mistaken to not take the time to read a book like The Invisible Man. This is your roots. if you're not really into science fiction a whole lot, and, 80% of people don't really care much for science fiction, then this isn't a book for you. H.G. Wells, The Invisible Man. Probably not going to read it again, but still good on its own merits. That's your Saturday sit down. Look forward to next week when I'm going to pick a book and I'll read it and then I'll tell you if it's good or not.